you think about the time and energy that you put into building your business, and it becomes like another child, right? And so a lot of our sellers, price is relevant, Patrick, but it's not the only
Uh-huh.
consideration because they want someone who will continue their legacy. So keep the people that make the agents happy because, as you and I know, agents hate change. You want to change as little as possible with the ownership transition because otherwise you lose them. And the whole value in your brokerage is your agents.
Well, welcome to beautiful Mississippi.
Thank
Have you
you.
ever been in this area?
I have. I've been down your neck of the woods and I have seen the pollen of which you speak. Your spring and your fall are quite beautiful. You have some really nice weather and some ocean breezes coming at you, and
It
nothing wrong with any of that.
God's alive until, July and August, those hot months where you walk out and it's just like, ugh, it's just
Yeah.
the
Well,
sticky, muggy.
it's ironic because I am in Canada and my business partner lives in Bradenton, Florida. So we cover the US and Canada, Patrick. And I always laugh that in Canada, you don't want to be here between about Christmas till about end of February because it's really, really cold. In your neck of the woods, July and August are tough, right? Unless you're
Hmm.
in the Gulf, you are
Correct.
hot.
Yes. Yes. So it's like everywhere you go almost has something that the
Yeah,
weather is going
yeah.
to, something. Yeah. About the only place, maybe Vegas, but it's so dry out there. But that would be as far as major storms or anything like that, dealing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
it's true. You have the Gulf effect and all the extreme weather that comes up from the south. So that's yeah, again, every place you live, there are pros and cons to everything in life, as you and I know. So
yeah. And that's what we're trying to do is tell people what's different here about from there. And so are y'all now, let me make sure I'm understanding. Y'all go and buy brokerages
so
and
what
do
what we do, Patrick, is we help real estate brokers grow. We call it recruiting through acquisition. So we do three things. So the first thing we do is we help real estate brokers grow. So if you said to me, Norma, I've got 50 agents, I'd like to get to 100. As you and I know, the recruiting retention process is painful, right? You'll recruit
definitely.
5 and you'll lose 4. And so you'll be up 1 and you'll have worked your heart out to get that 1. So what we recommend is that instead you look at your competitors and you have some conversations with them with a view to purchasing a brokerage, rolling it into yours, and
Okay.
then increasing by 20 agents or 15 agents or 30 agents so that all of a sudden you're making progress towards that objective of going from 50 to 100. So that's one thing that we do, Patrick, and
Okay.
that is a very effective way for brokers to scale, which is one of the essentials these days, unless you're in that luxury space. So that's one thing we do. The second thing we do is we help brokers sell. If you're Again, you and I both know there's lots of brokers in their 60s, 70s, even 80s.
Hmm.
We have one in his 90s.
Wow.
At some point, they want to exit, whether it's the burden of the business, whether it's they want to step back and just go back to selling, whether it's they want to spend more time with grandkids. And so, what we do is we run a sales process to help them sell their brokerage. So, that's the second thing we do. And then the third thing we do is we value brokerages for estate planning, succession planning, transfer to a son or daughter, transfer to a management team, ongoing, annual reviews if people have partners and they want to report to them. So we,
Okay.
I thoroughly enjoy it. And we're always dealing with entrepreneurs.
What? Well, let me ask you this. Do you have I guess basically, like people are hiring you to come in here and do a huge background check on our business to see, because we may just be missing something that's so simple that it takes somebody outside to see it, that automatically may be a good sign for us in the long run. If, just things that we may have been missing to help promote us, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Y'all do the background for us and you check us out, see what we're lacking on, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yes, and actually some tangible examples of that. So we have had a couple brokers in the last couple years who've had us value their brokerages. And they've used it exactly as you just said as a template to say, okay, I don't want to sell till my brokerage is worth $400,000. Well, right now it's only worth $200,000, but the valuation tells you all the different things you need to work on to increase that value. So absolutely, we
Okay.
provide that template and that third party opinion to say this is how a buyer is going to view your brokerage and how a buyer is going to value your business. And so I've had a couple of brokers over the last 2 years say to me, okay, Norma, thank you. I'm not happy with the value. I now know what I need to do over the next 12 or 24 months to increase that value. Yeah.
Okay. So not just so much so everybody sees that you're also not trying to buy their brokerage, but you're trying to give them a helping hand in follow these directions, and I think we can have your value up another 200,000 within a year and a half type
Absolutely.
situation.
And we don't actually buy or sell any of the brokerages. We just help the real estate brokers who own the businesses either expand through acquisition or we help them sell their brokerage to another real estate broker.
See that. But yeah, like I know a lot of people here is like they don't want to sell because they don't want to lose. This is what I'm leaving the world when they die. So a lot of times
Yes.
they don't. Is there ways to have that? Like, I will sell my company, but I want my name used for until 10 years from now or something to that effect.
For sure. It's a great question. You're talking about legacy. You're
Yeah,
talking
the
about
legacy, and that's a lot of people, and
it's a
I totally get that.
totally. You think about the time and energy that you put into building your business, and it becomes like another child, right? And
Yeah,
so a lot of our sellers, price is relevant, Patrick, but it's not the only consideration because they want someone who will continue their legacy. So if they have a management team, for example, I've seen a couple of managers become minority owners. They sort of test out the arrangement, make sure it works for them. And then the minority owners buy out the founder majority owner over a period of years, and that maintains their legacy. It allows them to maintain the culture, keep the people that make the agents happy. Because as you and I know, agents hate change. So
yeah,
you
totally.
you you want to change as little as possible with the ownership transition because otherwise you lose them. And the whole
You do.
value in your brokerage is your
And it's
agents.
so much paperwork just to, yeah. I don't like change. Period. When I started a job, I like to get as far as I can go. And that's even this, everybody's like, why are you keep getting another license? I'm like, why not? I don't want to retire. I want to work until I drop dead, which no time soon,
But
hopefully.
that's such an entrepreneur's attitude. And entrepreneurs, that's what we want to do. We want to figure it out and struggle and build something and continue to learn. And yeah, no, it's a unique trait amongst business owners and entrepreneurs.
It's important, like you're saying, to make sure that you have a staff set up in place. So, and a lot of people think every time somebody new comes in, well, all the staff's going to be replaced and we're going to get rid of the agents. In most cases, most brokers want to keep what they have. And most
Yes.
people, when they buy a brokerage, they would like to see the team that's already there and just find a way to maybe boost up, like you said, the team under new management and keeping everything kind of the way it is.
Yeah, the exactly the ideal scenario is if the buyer comes in and says to the existing agent group, everything stays the same, but we have these three additional benefits that come from our purchase of you. And it might be an international network of buyers and sellers, or it might be a lead generation engine that's going to make it easier for your agents to make money, or it might be a training program where every Monday they have a speaker from one of the great real estate coaches or somebody special who's able to give the agent some practical advice as to how to increase their business. So that's the ideal, where you maintain the status quo and then you enhance it, make it better.
like that. And this, to me, it's slow right now. I don't know how y'all's business is over there, but we're pretty slow. It's starting to pick up. Of course, springtime, we always get people out, and it always, pretty weather. What you want to do? You want to get out, roll down the windows, and drive by the beach. So that helps. That always helps us pick up this time of year. Y'all have those same issues? I'm just curious. I got to ask.
Yeah, no,
Do
it's a great question. It's very regional. And so we deal in all 48 states. We have never done anything in Hawaii or Alaska so far, and we deal in all 10 provinces. In Certainly in the northern states and in Canada, there is very little activity December, January, February because it's cold. And to your point, come March, April, things typically start to become quite active, and people are excited about spring and doing something new, and they're out looking at stuff.
so when y'all get over 20 degrees, it's like spring. Thank goodness. Let's go outside.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that continues through the entire spring. The summer, I think, is slow across all of North America because people are enjoying themselves and they don't want to think about buying. They want to think about just relaxing and not working and spending time with their kids and their grandkids. And then fall obviously is another good season for people to start to think about, okay, what's the year look like? What am I going to do this year? I'm going to make some changes. So I think it's pretty common throughout every jurisdiction we work in. Spring and fall are your best markets.
When would you say your spring is? Like compared to ours, I mean, like right now, 80 degrees, it's beautiful.
Right now, you have gorgeous weather. Right now, I have about 3 feet of snow in my front yard and freezing weather, and it decided to snow a little bit more today.
Do you get people wanting to go look at houses when it's like 3 foot of snow? I mean,
It's a challenge. It's definitely a challenge. I think the northern states in Canada's market really starts to heat up. Well, it also depends on the winter. So what's been interesting about this winter, as you and I've noticed, is it's been extreme. Like you've had massive snow events across the entire eastern seaboard. You've had airports shut down.
places that don't ever get snow. What was it last year? We had snow, or the year before down here, which is
Yeah,
just,
and I mean, you guys don't know what to do with snow.
I stay
What
in the house. I ain't driving on
exactly?
that.
So it's been such an extreme winter that I suspect that spring will come a little later to the northern climates than it would normally. Normally by 1st of March, mid-March for sure, things are really hopping. This year, it seems like we're going to be delayed another month, I would think. So 1st of April, mid-April, things will start to move. Our business in the real estate brokerage space where we're helping people buy and sell business, it's really dead December, January, and then it's generally steady the rest of the year. So the rest of the 10 months, because if you think about it, if you're sitting in the dog days of, November
Oh
and
yeah.
you have to fund your business by writing a check, you're thinking to yourself, what am I doing? Like, why am I
Mhm.
still doing this? And so we have some brokers who will reach out, if the spring market isn't as good as they hope, if the fall market isn't as good as they hope, and they'll say, look, we're writing checks every month. Can you do something? Is there anybody who might leave us of this burden? Right. So that's sort of a one situation. And the other thing is some business owners will say, Norma, I had a great year. I had a fabulous year. I want to leave on top. I want to take advantage of that to get up the maximum price I can for selling my brokerage now. And so that doesn't really matter on the season. But yeah, December, January, Patrick, they're always really quiet.
I want to ask you this, but do your all schools there go year round?
So in Canada and the northern US, schools typically start Labor Day, day after Labor Day, and they roll until end of June. Typically, no. Um, that's public schools, like the sort of the JK to grade 12. And then our universities, again, Northern US and Canada, typically run from September to April. And the colleges typically run from September to May. So definitely there's that rhythm that follows that school year and
That
parents and
we
grandparents.
used to have that here. Our schools were, they didn't go all year round. So spring break, which would be happening about this time of year. So everybody's out. So if you're wanting to move during the school year and your kids are changing school systems, so most people would want to be shopping right now and
Yep.
have their house ready for summertime closing and moving because you're 30, 45 days out or a little bit longer, depending on the type of transaction. So that's kind of how we used to could kind of gauge it a little bit, but now since it's school year round, it's kind of like, yeah, we just do the best we can. It's hard to gauge it. Like friends of mine will be busy, busy, busy running the roads, and then next week I'll be busy, busy, busy running the roads, and they won't be doing nothing. So it's kind of like it's just strange. It seems like it just comes out of nowhere sometimes. And I
Yeah.
mean, it's great. I love this business. I
Well,
mean, it's such a
it's obvious that you love the business. It's one of those businesses that requires that entrepreneurial mindset and the willingness to hustle. You have to work. You have
I totally agree.
to always be thinking about what's next, right? What do I have to do for next month? What do I have to do for next year? What do I have to do for next week? It's like you're always on your toes, right? You're always, but it's fascinating because you think about all the experiences you've had as a result of your real estate career.
And
And
well, now I'm getting to meet people all over the world, and I love it. I love seeing how other people live and how their cultures are. I mean, even I would drive out to Vegas a couple of times a year, and everybody's like, "Are you crazy?" I'm like, "It takes me 3 days, but look at what I'm seeing. I'm seeing so many beautiful places on the way. The Grand Canyon, all these pieces, and just so every year I would. All right, I'm gonna go to California this time and map up this road and do things like that. So I love hearing about how other people live and their housing market and things like that as well. And it sounds like almost if somebody was struggling, they could reach out and y'all, like I said, you might have that one little fix to help their business get right back on track where they should be.
yeah, or at least give them that third party perspective of uh, because as you and I also know, you businesses go through transitions, and sometimes it's just a temporary lull, and other times it's a death knell, right?
Mhm.
Like it just depends on where you're at in a cycle, where you're at in your business, and it's a low transaction environment right now. There's not a lot of real estate being traded. There's what, 4
Yeah.
million units a year in America?
Is
It's
and this
tough.
is such a huge piece of our economy. What is it like 60% or 75% of the economy is
And
involved around real estate?
Patrick,
That's a lot.
think about the clients and customers' mindset when it's low transaction, right? You want that hopeful, confident, optimistic mindset where people are willing to take a risk. They're thinking about building something, they're buying a fixer upper. That's a really good vibe, I'll call it. And that's been missing in North America for the last 3.5 years, right? Since sort of the tail end of COVID,
Correct. Yeah.
when 2023 hit and we sort of went, wow, it is quiet. It's
Were
just
y'all
not.
busy in COVID? Did y'all stay pretty busy?
So COVID, so my business partner is a real estate broker coach. And so he and I started Broker VMA, Patrick, in January of 22. So it was just rolling into COVID sort of petering out over the next
Right.
6 months. And we have been steady ever since we opened the door because there's this huge transition going on with a lot of brokers saying, I don't have the scale, I don't have the size. It used to be enjoyable to run a 40 agent shop or a
Mhm.
50 agent shop or a 30 agent shop, and it's not anymore. And we get that a lot. We get a lot of brokers say to us, I used to have a good time with this, and now I'm break even at best. Why am I working so hard to make no money? And there's a move towards scale. So that's one of the factors. The second
Uh,
factor is just the aging out, right? As people age, to your point, they say, I still want to work, you know, because the real estate mentality is you like what you do. It gives you energy, it motivates you, it defines who you are. And so we have a lot of broker owners that will say, I want to sell my brokerage, Norma, but I want to stay involved. I want to go back to selling full time. To your point, I don't want to leave it till they take me out in a casket.
right.
And that's brilliant, because then what they do is they transition the business and the burdens of the business to somebody else, but yet they maintain the involvement in their company by selling. And the beauty for the agents is then the reason they were there, the person that they're there for is still there. So it's a
Oh yeah.
really nice transition.
So could almost would you be do you have some investors that just want to say, look, I want to invest in somebody. I don't want to deal with it. I just want my money invested somewhere. Yeah, do you ever have people that want to do that? Like, I just want to be a silent partner. Here's $500,000. Use it to whatever you.
Yep, we have a couple brokers that have money partners that are silent for sure. So there's that's usually a partnership situation where one partner is not in the industry at all and says, I'm going to invest. We've got one large broker. He has about 240 agents, and his partner is a real estate guy, owns buildings in which they occupy, and his whole objective, Patrick, is, as long as you keep my buildings full, I'm just not going to have any say in the brokerage per se. I'm just going to enjoy being a 50% silent partner.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, and
That helps.
yeah, the other thing we have that's interesting, we have two brokers who have dramatically increased their footprints in the last 3.5 years. So we have one that's gone from 16 to 30 locations, and the other has gone from 28 to 60. So there's definitely people in this market who are saying, I want to have scale. I want to be huge. I want to represent hundreds and hundreds of agents. Again, it's exciting for them. It's a
Hmm.
risk, obviously, because as you and I look at the market, we say there's a lot of turbulence in the market. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market, and markets don't like uncertainty. But I applaud the two brokers we have who are just gung ho. They say, anything you can find me that is profitable in these states, in these regions, I will buy.
That is awesome. Yeah, well, used to, I don't think you could do that, but now you could get in one broker that has 30 states that they can manage, or, through all these companies. And it's very interesting. But, do you feel like the last few years that people aren't coming into the doors anymore, the storefronts for real estate? Or do you feel like that it's mainly going straight to looking it up on text or emailing somebody? It's not so much going in your storefront, as I like to call it, to look for an agent.
Think it's a demographic conversation. Yes. So a lot of brokers in COVID had, thought that they didn't need their premises anymore. And
Hmm.
then and then come 2023, people were so desperate to get back out, visiting
Yeah.
places, that they found that they did. What we're finding right now is a lot of our brokers will have a really nice location that's smaller than it was. So they'll invest in a really slick, customer focused sort of space, but it won't be as big. So where before it might have been 3,000 square feet or 5,000 square feet, now it'll be 1,500 or 2,500 square feet, but it's really, really done well. So that's one trend we see. The other trend that I'm seeing, so the digital brokerages, it's a fascinating market, as you know. The digital brokerages are not as compelling for really productive agents as the more traditional sometimes, because they want that presence. They want to be able to go into an office, they want
Uh-huh.
to meet with you, they want to see colleagues and generate ideas and have that social aspect of work in addition to the productive aspect. And so
Well,
it's
it's a total,
fascinating. It's evolving, isn't it?
well, it's such a different type of, well, I came from Walmart, then the casino dealing cards for what, 15, 16 years here in Biloxi. Then I got into real estate because my back was bothering me. And like I said, I love real estate. I've always wanted to do it. It just never was. When you've got a nice job and they clothe you basically, you park in a garage, you work indoors, you listen to music for 8 hours a day, you're in a gambling environment. So it's just, I mean, it's like a show for 8 hours a day and it's a fun job. And it's like,
I was gonna say
why
Biloxi
leave
is
that?
known for being a very enjoyable place to spend some
Well,
time.
it is. It is. So, I mean, that's why it was like so hard but it was like, my body kept telling me, it's like, okay, you can't lean over these tables for 8 hours a day. Go ahead and do what you want to do. Get in it. If you don't ever do it now, you're not. So I did. I jumped on into it and I love it. I mean, as soon as I got in it, but like you're saying, I do think offices are important. I've learned so much just sitting at the kitchen table, at our office. That's just listening because this may never happen to me, but I heard this agent talk about it. So if it ever does come up, I got this agent that's already been through this that knows and can guide me in the direction that needs to be done.
Well, and we're social creatures, Patrick. Like
Oh yeah.
we crave social interaction. There's a massive loneliness epidemic because so many people are just in their houses now and they're not out
Mhm.
and about and spending time with people. Like I find that, and it sounds like you're the same, it gives you energy when you're
Oh
around
my
other
God.
people and they're,
Vegas, I love it. The
yeah,
zoom, 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 the go,
the
go, go.
the
It's that
ideas, the,
feeling.
yeah, the energy, the social, there's nothing like it. And that's why I think you're seeing a renaissance in office spaces becoming, like they've always been relevant, but they're even more relevant now when agents need a touch point. They need a place that they can come and kibitz with other agents and obtain, as you say, sounding board advice, warrior stories that help them the next time they're dealing with their customers. So I see that. I see a resurgence in the importance of an office, but it's not the same size as it was because you don't have agents typically that will come in 3, 4, 5 days a week anymore. They'll come in twice or they'll come in once or they're right. So it's a different pattern. Although that being said, we have a North Carolina brokerage and his people, again, they're probably agents are primarily 40s and 50s and 60s probably. They come into the office 3, 4, 5 days a week. They use that office. That's their base. That's what they're used to. That's what's make them productive. And so he keeps it. He keeps the office, fully available and staffed because he finds it makes his agents happy.
Well, and that's it. Some people don't want to work. Some people, like you said, want to go to that office to have that routine that they know no matter what, I don't have to, but I have to be there at 9 o'clock. But I don't have to. But in my head, you know, I think that pattern, and I've gotten because this was like a totally different job for me. Totally. It took me forever. Because personally, I feel like it's rude to answer the phone when I'm in my car and other people are with me. I try, it took me a long time to get used to it and saying, it's Patrick, can I help you? And walk away versus that, oh, it's fine. Pick up your phone. I'm like, no, I'm here in front of you. Don't pick up that phone.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's my mindset. And then I had to get used to going and, which I love being around people. And it was like getting used to working with other people. And, it was just a different environment than what I was used to as far as it took me 8 years to figure out when to take a day off because I didn't take a day off unless it was ugly outside, and that's like, okay, that's my do nothing day. God said chill and relax and enjoy the ugly day. But when it's beautiful, like now, I feel like I should be outside going and doing and meeting people. And it's like, I mean, look at me, I'm huge. I'm like, what, almost 300 pounds. I'm a billboard, So instead of going to the driver at the bank, I get out and I walk in the bank and just talk to people.
Yeah,
A
yes.
lot of my business comes from running my mouth in
Yeah,
public and
yeah.
talking to people.
Yes, because
I mean,
when people meet you, they connect with you. There's a visceral reaction, and if they're comfortable, then you become the go-to person for them. It's that social connection piece that you've got, you're an expert at. Like that's brilliant.
I met one of my sellers. I just knock on wood. I sold her house, and I met her like 7 years ago, playing video poker, and at one of the casinos, and we sat there probably 6 or 7 hours talking. And I gave her my card, and she called me about 2 years ago. She said, "You're not gonna remember me till you see me." And I was like, all right. And she said, we played video poker for hours. And I think I asked her, didn't you have purple hair? And I think she said it was either purple or red. But when I went and seen them, I'm like, oh my God, yes, I remember y'all. And she said, I knew I was going to want your card one day. And that was 7 years ago. And I just listed our house last week and sold it the first day it was listed and bought her another house where she wanted to be. So you never know. And that's even in traffic, cutting people off. Watch them fingers because that might be your buyer that
Yeah.
you're going to meet at that house.
It's that whole piece about, the golden rule, right? You treat people the way you want to be treated. And
Yeah.
if you live your life that way, good things should happen
Mhm.
because
Oh,
you're
I agree.
giving that positive energy and that attention, right? So many people don't look at other people when they talk to them and they don't acknowledge them and they
Mhm.
don't connect with them. And it's such a shame because
We're losing it. It's every bit of it's to this. I go back to we don't. I mean, and I'm saying it. I've done said it 50 times. We're in the Jetsons. We watched cartoons growing up, looking at this, and now we got Rosie going around and the Robos, all this stuff, and we're looking. Look, this is TV. We would have never thought this
yeah,
ever.
no, and
I never had it in my head. I
it's so
mean,
detrimental, Patrick, to the normal socialization and growth of a person. I saw that the tech companies lost a lawsuit. A gal sued them. I think the judgment came out today that they create this addictive environment
oh
that
yeah,
kids get on and they just can't get off it. And it's a shame because what you're talking about where you're connecting with people is what life's all about.
yeah. That's what I told myself. When you look at aliens, they have no lips. They ain't got no lips because they don't talk no more because they're on the phone. It's texting, and I, I it kills me because even when I'm out of town, it's people's like, "You ain't from here, are you?" Like, why? I'm just that away. If somebody's behind me, I'm gonna hold the door.
But that's wonderful. That's courtesy. It's a lovely and it's also a lovely way to meet the person behind
Well,
you.
it is. I tell you, one of my things I do, and I tell a few other agents, they're like, how are you meeting people? I said, well, and like I said, I go to the casinos a lot here because, like I said, I'm 15, 16 years in the business. So a lot of people I know over there. I call it networking. I have not figured out how to get a tax write up on my networking, but I'm still trying. I still think my gym should be paid for.
Yes,
That's like a networking thing. But
100%.
when I go through somewhere, even Vegas or here, if I see somebody trying to take that picture and they just can't get it right, him and her. So I'll go and say, would you like me to take a picture for you? I don't mind. So, and I mean, I can't run, so that I ain't got to worry about losing their phone. So I'll do that and start talking to people and just, hey, if you know anybody ever decide to move to the beautiful Gulf Coast, here you go.
Yeah, but
And
again,
it's
that's
just so simple. You just making that connection by taking a picture for somebody. You
but
know,
it's
it,
but it's what life it's those small moments of life that are just they make you feel good.
they really do. I mean, I think we have people that come in and out of our lives for reasons. And I try. The older I get, the more I watch and I see. And it's like, yeah, that's why I met that person 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So let me get back on the real estate.
Oh, it's all good. Life in
I
general
just
talk
talk.
is,
That's what I tell everybody. Because I mean, yeah, it's real estate, but there's so much more to real estate that people don't even understand. There's a lot behind the scenes of real estate. I try to put out the fires, of course, before I have to go give bad news, which none of us likes that. But that goes back to there's a reason for everything. Maybe you shouldn't buy this house that's got a
yes, yeah,
hole in the floor and the roof.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
I
well, so,
mean,
again, it's the transparency piece you're talking about where you try to fix it, but if you can't, maybe it wasn't meant to be.
that goes back to taking me a long time to learn. Yeah, like I said, I had to get used to probably 6 or 7 years getting used to oh yeah, I'm in a great, great, great place. I'm gonna clean all day. It's a beautiful day. I'm opening up the windows and then you get that call. It's like, yeah, I'll wait on the house. I'm gonna go show a house. And then I'm out of the cleaning mode. So I'm like, well, darn. But it's hard to get used to that pattern of doing things. And like I said, I answer my phone pretty much all the time. When I go to bed now, I do turn it off, but I'll wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, think of something I need to tell somebody. So I tell them, don't get offended, but I have to write it down. If I don't, I won't remember it. But that took me a long time getting used to just that environment of being around other agents. And like I said, I would just listen. And a lot of the stuff they were talking about, it may not make sense then, but after a few weeks or years of doing the business, now I know what they were talking about with all that wetland issues they had. Okay.
No,
It makes sense.
the networking with other agents who have more experience than you is invaluable.
Oh, and I mean, it's customer service to me is a 100% thing. I mean, it's what you want. You want to do everything you can the best you can. And of course, some people sometimes it's going to get through the crack. Not everybody's going to be perfect with it, but as long as at the end of the day, you said you did what you could do, it's all that matters. And that, like, you can't control so many things in this business. We try to, but it's out of our hands. At that point, when they say we need to send the appraiser back out, here's the key. So a lot of stuff is out of our hands, and real estate is a lot of waiting. We do a lot of
Yes.
waiting in this business,
Yes. Yeah,
which
well,
is
it's such a
bad because it gives me time to think. You know,
such a big transaction for most people, right? It's their
Well,
biggest investment in their life that they're going to make. And so it takes time. I agree with you.
and
There's a
us as agents, we do this daily.
yes.
So, and I try to tell them if I hear someone in the office saying this or that, I'm like, look, you need to remember, you do this daily. That buyer is probably only going to buy one house in their
Yeah.
lifetime. So
Yeah.
this is something that you need to be more teaching as y'all are going through the whole process, because they don't know when you tell them I need the EM or we got to have the termite. What do you mean termite?
Yes. Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a big step for a lot
It's
of
complete
people.
education. You're constantly educating, right? You're constantly sharing your knowledge to create comfort, to create, a sense of the process. The more I find that buyers understand what is going on and sort of what has to happen in order for them to buy, the calmer they become. Because you're absolutely right. It's a huge risk for them. It's a huge endeavor for them. It's a huge step for them.
But
It's like the importance of a wedding or like it's big. It's
it's a huge event.
once in a lifetime, twice in a lifetime. It's not going to happen a lot for them. So you want to
Oh,
make it a positive experience.
and on holidays. I mean, I had one guy, this house went on the market. So I called him, said, look, okay, I don't know if this is going to work for you, but this is what you're talking about. He's like, is it on the market? I said, it's going to be in about an hour. So I grabbed the sign for my broker and I go put their sign in their lockbox up and I show him the house. Well, he bought it for his house, his wife on Valentine's Day. I'm like, you are going to be the best husband forever now, you
That
know?
is that
And
is
it was just
beautiful.
funny. These people have been looking for it 6 or 7 months. And I'm like, I found it. I get a rush when I find the house for somebody. You tell
Ah,
me what you're looking for, I'm going
100%.
to find it. I don't care what
Yeah.
the price is. I'm going to find it because it's more about putting that person that matches
Yeah.
that house.
Yeah.
There's a house for everybody.
No, I
It
love
really
that.
is.
My first cousin Patrick, at her wedding, her husband, his gift to her was that she thought that they would be renting a home in a complex that she absolutely loved, and he ended up buying it for them. So it's beautiful. As you say, it has to fit. If it fits the people, then the odds are they'll be there a long time and they'll be happy there. And that's, I agree with you, it's a rush. It makes you feel good when there's a fit.
Oh yeah. I mean, before I would go out, I would always keep one house on the side that they didn't know nothing about. Because a lot of times I'll watch, and back then when I first started, it was a horrible time. The market was crashing, and everybody thought I'd
What year
lost my
was that?
mind.
What year was
18,
that, Patrick?
I believe it was 18 or 19, if I'm thinking right. No, that would have been 10, 2010, I believe
Yep,
was
so
right
you
in
had
that
to work
time frame.
hard.
Oh, well, I got lucky. One of the agents, we only had like 4 or 5 agents in that office. And one guy in there did insurance, which was really convenient. And then his wife was a lender, which was even more convenient. Everything right there. But it was different. I was finding people houses. Like one investor, I got 6 houses for them under $120,000, 6 houses. But we were getting all these repos that were coming through. I mean, these homes that needed a lot of work. Well, when you're dealing with a lot of those, that goes the agent in my office. She was listing homes for like the repos. She had those, so I would help her. We had to go check all the houses and update anything and all that. So I got with her and she showed me how to do it, and it was perfect. She would go out of town for like a month at a time. And she's like, here, and I worked hard for her because I wanted to make sure her business succeeded. More than anything, I wanted to see because she worked hard to get to that place, so it's like, I don't want to lose anything while you're gone to Peru, when she went there, because she should stay for like a month or so. But it was important to me not to let her business suffer.
Well,
And
and what's great about that is you got a live university class in how to
yes,
sell real
yeah.
estate.
Well, nobody wanted to deal with that, all the paperwork. And to me, the paperwork, once you get used to the pattern, boom, 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 it just went into play. So I didn't mind it. I had the paperwork down, so I didn't care about their 50 addendums. HUD's going to send me to have the buyer sign.
Yes.
And a
Well,
lot of
because
the
you saw the
systems,
opportunity. You saw the opportunity for your buyer. That's the
I
beautiful
did.
part.
And I got 18 transactions my first year, which I thought was good. Now you gotta understand where we are compared to a lot of other places, you know. So that it was good. I enjoyed it. And I was getting such a rush out of saving money for people. That was fantastic. But of course right now is a whole lot different. It's been hard to find any properties that are flip that you could flip right now. Uh, it'll all come back around. And it does. It seems like it just goes through. Like, COVID. I didn't think we would be busy. I
I
had a foot
know, and then it
surgery.
was nuts.
Well, I had a foot surgery that January, the first of the year, of course, and it was like, all right, 3 months. I can't go. I'm not. I showed houses one time on crutches, and I fell off the front porch. And I have these 2 ladies in their 70s trying to pick this up off the ground, and I'm just sitting there laughing because it was so entertaining for me. And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing this no more. But I wanted to stay in real estate. So I tried to drive with my left foot, getting out crutches, showing houses. I fell out the porch. So I'm like, I'm not doing that no more. So I planned for 3 months of doing nothing. And luckily, that's when COVID hit. So this is good. When all this is over, oh no. That was probably one of my busiest years I think I've ever had. So,
It
and I
was
was like excited because I was going out, and then it was like COVID hit, and it was kind of like, oh, you can't do. I mean, there was like probably 2 weeks of nothing. But when people learned they could work from home anywhere from home, we had California, Colorado, and a lot of Nevada people, and New York coming here when they were seeing like, of course in California you could sell a little house for $10 million and come here and buy a beautiful monstrous house on the water, for a couple of $1 million.
it's the
Cash.
arbitrage. They were arbitraging the one location to the other because You're
Yeah,
on the Gulf. You've beautiful weather, other than July and August is a little hot, and
that's part
you
of
can
it.
trade. They were trading sort of. They were going from a small little house to a gorgeous house and putting money in their bank account.
Yeah, and just figuring out, well, I have extra time. What should I do? The one good thing too, because we have a lot of retirees that move down here, and a lot of I believe in if you set, you're rusting. So keep moving. The longer you sit around, you're gonna rust. Stay involved. And some of the people when they come here, they're like, well, we don't know anybody. All my kids are gonna be about 7 or 8 hours away. Lead me in a direction. I said, well, if you can work and it doesn't affect any of your money coming in where you can, I think sometimes you can work up so many hours or make so much a month. So I would go to the casino, get a job, door greeter, a restaurant, something just so you are around people, talking to people.
Yeah, it's
And not
excellent advice.
Christmas was the hardest day for me to work at all of them. I hated it. And I asked some people one time, and I'm like, why are y'all here? And they just look up, laugh. Are you serious? I said, yeah. I said, if y'all wasn't here, I probably could be home eating a daggum turkey or two. So they told me, and a lot of them were like these same people that asked me this. Well, our kids are in the military and they're stationed all over the world. So we didn't want, or I didn't want to be home alone on Christmas Day. And I never thought about that. And a lot of people have nobody to spend Christmas Day with. So they were like, we would rather come here where we're not sitting somewhere at home by ourselves. And I was
Yeah,
like, that makes sense. I never had a problem working Christmas after that, because that, it made sense
it's the
at that point.
perspective. You had perspective on why they were there. It changed the narrative.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like the humidity. Humidity here sucks for them 2 months, but it's good for your skin. There's a positive in there.
It's
So
true that for every pro there is a con.
that's it. I'm going to find a positive no matter what.
Yeah,
No matter what.
yeah.
Well, I have enjoyed our chat very much.
Myself as well. I'm glad
I
we were
am,
able to get her done.
do you feel lifted?
Say again?
Are you lifted? Do you feel like you're lifted up? You feel good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, and I love the name. The name is aspirational, inspirational, positive. Yeah.
Well, friends of mine have been telling me to get me a channel going. And I've just been him hawing around. So I've been thinking of different stuff and different names, and Lift It popped into my head. And I kept thinking about it. I said, I kind of like that. Then I started playing with what it could mean. So I was like, all right, lift it. Live it for tomorrow every day. So we're basically living today for tomorrow every day.
I like
And
that.
it fell into place. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this
So
is
it's an
falling into
acronym in
place.
addition. It's an acronym in addition to,
Was I mean, they'd be like, you should do this, you should do it. And everything was just falling into place. 'Cause the older I get, the less I see myself being able to jump up and run out and show houses. But I won't stay in real estate until the end. When I'm 105, I'll probably be done. Like I said, when I leave this place, I'm leaving it in debt. I'm one of those people. I like to see stuff. I like to buy, but it
yeah.
gets me in trouble.
But
Well,
it's a great way to embrace life.
I agree. I agree. I totally agree. Well, Norma, I thank you so much for coming on board with me. And you want to give everybody your contact information?
Yes, so you just have to go to brokervma.com. So that's BROKERVMA.com. So it stands for Broker Valuations, Mergers and Acquisitions.com. All my information is there.
Love it. I love it. And when you're down in this area on the coast, holler at me. We'll do lunch.
I would
Just
thoroughly enjoy that. What I'm
me too.
hoping, Patrick, is that some of your warmth will come through this studio and land on me, and I'll have my snow melt. That would make
I
me
had to say
very happy.
you better go get the sunscreen out. It's coming.
I like that. Again, you're lifting me. It's
See,
aspirational.
it's just it don't. I mean, like I tell people, it's like, yeah, you don't have to go to extraordinary things to do something nice for
No.
people.
Yeah.
You see somebody struggling, putting air in their tire, trying to gas that car, help them.
Yeah.
It takes a second.
No, I like it. It's that whole concept of giving back.
I agree. I agree. And like I tell everything, the one thing I can do is run my mouth.
You know what? So you are the podcast is an obvious next endeavor.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And I look forward to meeting you in person one day, Norma.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank y'all again for taking the time to come along my venture with me. I am Patrick Merrill, and I hope you have been lifted. If not, let me know. We'll figure out a way. There's always a way. Thank y'all again for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe, and tell your friends. Y'all have a great day.